Welcome to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast, where we go behind the scenes and uncover the tactics and strategies top entrepreneurs are using to make more sales, dominate their markets, and how you can get those same results. Here is your host, Dave Woodward.
Welcome back to Funnel Hacker Radio. I'm your host, Dave Woodward, and you guys are in for a ride of your life today. I'm so excited. You have the opportunity of meeting one of my dear friends I just had the opportunity to spend some time with, and this guy is crushing it in the B2B space. And it's one of those things I get questions about all the time. So right now, I want to welcome you guys and introduce you to James Smiley. James, welcome.
Woo! B2B, B2B.
So you have to understand, guys, James has absolutely been crushing it in the B2B space and in the business funnels, all that stuff that people always ask about. But as far as a little background, here's a guy basically he's worked in the Silicon Valley, done IPOs, has actually taken two separate companies from zero to over $20 million, and has worked with AT&T, he's worked with Facebook. This is a guy who's just super passionate about business and sales, and at the same time is a father of 4, happily married 13 years, and is just an all-around awesome dude. So we are so excited to have James with us. So James, again, welcome. Anything else you want to say or introduce people to you?
Oh, man, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Throughout all the years, I still find myself trying to just be a normal dude, put on my pants one leg at a time like everyone else. So just all about the hustle and the heart, you know?
Well, I think that the hustle is the thing we hear so much about these days. I think Gary Vee's probably made that real famous. But I think it's the part that, James, I'm so excited to see in what you're doing right now, because the whole business-to-business funnels and working in that industry is so hard for a lot of people. And yet you're out there crushing 5-6-figure deals literally all the time. So if you don't mind, let's just kind of dive right in and help people understand when we're talking to a B2B funnel, what exactly is a B2B funnel?
So it's basically taking the concepts and the philosophies that you guys do and just applying that into larger corporations. And so what I do and what I've done for a long time, even before, this is even before we even called them webinars and all that stuff, is we've been using online technology and different technology, conference call technology, whatever, to create funnels to draw people in and to draw businesses and executives in. And using a very similar concept that you guys do with lead magnets and those kind of things. Is the exact same philosophy. But we draw these people in and then we stand up in front of them just like you guys do on a webinar or a VSL or whatever. And so we may use webinar technology. We may use in-person seminars and those kind of things. And we show our stuff. We show ourselves as the guru. We get them excited and impressed. And then, of course, they want to work with you. And so when I got introduced to ClickFunnels, and kind of a little secret was I was working at a big company, and one of my Tiger teams was tasked to track internet marketing in the industry and what it was going to do in the Fortune 10 world and what the impact was going to be. So we were tracking like 11 internet marketers, and one of them was this kid named Russell Brunson. So it was, and then so personally I was following him, and I was like, this guy is going somewhere, and then ClickFunnels came out and all that. And when you guys started this movement with ClickFunnels, it streamlined and just exponentially increased everything that I do. And I really believe it made it so that the average person can take these tools and go out there and be successful with what they know, and they can take that and be successful with businesses.
I love it. I know that I think the word average has never been used to describe you at all. It's been one of those things. I look at the stuff that you've done, and I'm so excited just to help people understand. One of the things you and I were talking about before we started the recording and everything else was this whole idea as far as the difference between, basically staying in the space you've been in, working business to business versus helping others who want to get into that space. And one of the things you made mention, I think, is really critical, especially when you're trying to sell, 5 or 6 figure deal. And that is that belief in yourself. If you don't mind, could you kind of address that a little bit?
Yeah. So, I've had the privilege of, overseeing and managing hundreds of sales reps, hiring hundreds, and then just speaking in front of and enabling over 10,000. When we were IPOing TeleNav, we were touring the country, and it wasn't uncommon for us to speak in front of 300 to 600 sales reps at a time. But what I've seen is it doesn't matter what your selling abilities or skills are. It's, do you have a belief in yourself and a belief in your product? Like, we've taken people who are used car salesmen, and in 3 to 4 months, they're making commission checks of $20,000. A couple years ago, we took a kid from a retail store in Fort Worth, Texas here, and we found him. We actually went to a retail store. We were in a B2B sales meeting. We needed to go buy something. We went in there and bought it, and this kid just floored us. He was just amazing, and we ended up recruiting him. And he became one of the most successful people at AT&T, and he led the country in sales. I mean, and he was in a retail store. I mean, so like, if people, may look at what they do and go, I don't know if I can be successful in B2B, but I think it's having a belief in yourself and in your skill set, and really valuing. I think you have to value what you do. And so if somebody's that person where they just go, their internal self is saying, like, I know that I am worth more than what I get paid now. And not that I'm, complaining. I'm just saying I'm worth more. Like, if somebody has that kind of fire, then I think they can be very, very successful in B2B. And in B2B, why somebody would want to be successful there, I think, is it's not for everybody, but a lot of entrepreneurs and digital marketers and those kind of people are looking to have less clients, higher paying clients, and they want clients who appreciate them, and they want clients who treat them professionally, and they want clients who don't walk out on them, and that's what happens in the B2B space. It's just a more professional environment. You don't have, it's just overall, it's more professional, more crystallized, and it's more long-term relationships, and the pay is as good as it's going to get by far.
I think that's just so awesome. And I think especially as we spend time working with entrepreneurs, at first you start off and you're like, what, I'll do anything else just to kind of earn a buck. And then you kind of go through that phase of like, what, I'm not enjoying the clients that I'm working with. And as you start raising that ticket price, you do start valuing yourself and your time a ton more. And so as you've taken a look at working with business owners, and again, you're a guy who sold, what, 210, $250 million in corporate products, all before the age of 35, before 35. I mean, so you've sold some serious products. How does a person, how do they get that kind of belief? If they feel like they want it, how do they actually develop that?
That's a great question. So, I grew up in what people nowadays would call an unprivileged neighborhood. I grew up in a minority neighborhood. We were very poor. I tell a story often where, I remember the first time I was able to buy a real Oreo cookie, because my whole life as a kid, we never could buy a name brand cookie. I mean, we were poor. And so, but I had a belief in myself that I was here and that I was unique, and that there was something that I was called to do that nobody else could do. And I think when I understood that, and when I really grasped that sense that if I don't go do this, no one else can do it, because they can't do it like me, and maybe somebody has the skills or the tools that are similar, but they cannot go and serve a customer like me. And I think when you have that belief in yourself, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do, who you can be, how much you can earn, who you can impact, all those things. And I got on the track really early, even though I was from a poor neighborhood. I got on the track really early of talking about money and going after money, because I think I learned in life there's a lot of, I call them like equity buckets. There's a lot of equity buckets you can build in your life. Money is one of many, but money is the one that's easier to count because it's a number, right?
Yeah.
You can build equity in your family, in your life, in your friendships, in your spirituality, whatever. But like equity is like, you can just look and know where you're at, right? And so, and then what I've learned through mentors and things like this is it's the person you become on the route to achieving any goal that makes it all worth it, so money is an easy one to set a goal. It's an easy one to set metrics of how do you get there. and who you become and who you serve on that path and on that journey is what makes it all worth it.
I love that. I think that's awesome. Well, let's kind of dive in and talk about an actual funnel and how you're doing this, because a lot of people I talk to understand the webinar model as far as the webinar funnel, and they think, most of the time if I'm selling on a webinar, I'm selling that product between $500 and $2,000. That's the typical webinar model. You're talking, again, just to clarify, if anyone wants to know 5,000 or 5 figures, that's 10,000 and above, and obviously 6 figures is 100,000 above. So you're selling anything basically from 10 grand to almost $1 million through a funnel. So help people understand what's that funnel look like?
Yeah. So the very, very high level, like the most highest level strategic idea here is you take funnels. So you take click funnels and you use that to attract clients, and then you sell them funnels. Okay. So it's the most ingenious thing in the world. I mean, it's like they don't even realize what I'm selling them is what they're in right now. It's the same platform. And so anyway, the biggest thing I found is business executives, whether they're $500,000 to 50 million or $100 million company, a lot of them, especially the higher you get, once you get to like 10 million and up, a lot of these men and women that are in those positions, they want to get to a face-to-face meeting with you. And so you use the funnel, you use an ad like LinkedIn or Facebook, and you drive them into a landing page. And what the things that we found really successful, I split tested it at tons of companies and in my own personal funnels, is when you drive them to a landing page, you want like a mini webinar, and you want it completely open. Don't make somebody who doesn't opt in, doesn't have that habitual habit of opting in, don't make them opt in. Just play it, give them the content right there, and encourage them to book a meeting with you, right? And that is so simple, and it works. Anybody out there can say, I help people reduce their cost per lead by blah, blah, blah. And if you want to reduce your cost per lead and find out how I did it, click below and book a meeting with me. I mean, it's the funnel is so simple. Like, you don't need to opt in. You don't need to set up the emails. You don't need to, it's ridiculously simple. And it's crazy how it works. Just a week ago, I would say 10 days ago, I had a gentleman from LinkedIn. I've never, I post content on LinkedIn, and I've never heard of this guy, but, and he's never messaged me, but he clicked on the link on LinkedIn, or he clicked on my ad. He went to my funnel and saw my video, and then he went back to LinkedIn to message me. Like, he's not even tech savvy enough to feel comfortable filling out the form. He went back to LinkedIn, but we're going to fly there in a couple days. I'm bringing one of my partners, and he's paying us each $5,000 for a 3.5-hour session. And he's paying all the expenses to get there. So, that's like a very small example. But the key thing, so once I get there,
hold on, James. I got to interrupt you here, because I don't think everyone understands really what's taking place here. So correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what's really happening is you and your partner are each being paid $5,000 to go to his place to really end up pitching him a higher thing, correct?
Yes. That's the beauty is I'm going to give him a free seminar and I'm going to use my expertise. So you guys use your expertise, but I have expertise in AI, mobile apps, a lot of technology. So he wants to know about some things, but I've had people hit me up about social media is really hot, is the most intriguing thing for a business owner right now, is to figure out how do they monetize social media and how do they get leads. So that's the one that I would encourage people to go after. Executive coaching is really big one. Business growth is really big, some of those, but yeah, so essentially kind of reeling back, what we're going to do is we're going to go there. We're going to give him a free seminar. We're going to stand up in front of him and probably 6 or 7 of his people. And we're going to completely wow them with what we do, people we know, and things like that. And at the end, we're going to ask them if we can be the ones to help them do this, whether from a consulting standpoint or we can do done for you. So one of the things that I kind of teach with entrepreneurs who work with me, and we help enable them in this, is I teach them kind of the 3 packages, the 3 basic packages. One is do it yourself. So do yourself is kind of like what we're going to go do here with this gentleman, Tony. We're going to go show him some stuff, but he has to do it himself. Right. So these are kind of quick, easy hits, and but he has to do it himself. Then there's done with you, which is more like a hackathon or something like that, where 3-4 days project, and we're going to help enable his team to learn funnels, to learn webinars, to learn. They'll buy a ClickFunnels account, they'll buy a Funnel Scripts account, they'll do all those things. And so we kind of reveal all of our secrets, and we enable them, and we train them. Now those would be $25,000 to $80,000, right? Typically they're going to be in that range. And then the higher level one is done for you. So there's do it yourself, done with you, or done for you. And done for you, that's where you can easily charge 100, 120 to about $250,000. Those are the easier ones to get. And there's ways you want to go about pricing those and structuring those deals so that it makes sense for them. And that's kind of some of the psychology that we go through in our training, in our courses, and in our, we have free consultations and stuff like that we will help people understand, like, how do you go about pitching $200,000 without scaring the crap out of somebody, right? Like, you want to. So there's psychology things that I've learned, and I learned when I was a young kid. I would always go to the best salesperson, and I would say, "Hey, can I do ride-alongs with you?" And it was amazing what I would learn, And so I learned all these things about positioning, so that when we position the price, me and the client are on the same side of the table. Like, we're both fighting for the same thing. I've sold him on it. We've anchored on a result. He wants the result, or he or she wants the result. And now we're both ready and excited. So now the only thing left to do is, how do we pay for this? How do we work together to pay for this? So let's get creative. Let's think of ideas. Let's maybe restructure the deal. Let's do half up front and payments over 6 months, or so we can work with them on that. So that's some of the exciting stuff that we're, starting to share with your guys' community and the entrepreneur community, is how do they go out and do that,
I just think that is so awesome. This is one of the things, and why I was so excited to have you on this podcast, is because people don't understand the opportunity nothing frustrates me more than when I'm sitting there talking to a person, they feel like, well, I have to start off with a $7 tripwire that then is going to lead into, they're going up this, they think that this sales ladder basically caps out at $1,000. I'm like, are you serious? The opportunities that exist for a person who really understands funnels, and that I think one of the things that you've just done an amazing job at, James, and that is helping really understand the need that really exists in the typical business world, that's just so much greater than it is in the online world that we hear so much about. And I really hope that those people who are listening to this podcast are understanding that really the biggest market is taking people from online to offline and dealing in the offline world, which again, you've just crushed it for decades doing. So I think that's awesome. Yeah.
And it's like the funnel is like a combination of using online technology and online automation, which is ClickFunnels, and in-person phone calls and those kind of things, right? And based on what you do, you kind of can come up with your own, funnel. But those are the kind of the general ways that it's structured. And one of the biggest things I would encourage, just kind of I'll give some people who want to get into this space, like just they can take this and they don't have to learn it for over the next 10 years. So in business, somebody taught me when I was 22, they said, James, don't ever go in there and do that again. And I said, what? We just want a deal. So we just want a deal. And he said, you don't ever want to go in there and sell them your features and your functions. He goes, businesses don't buy that. And I said, well, he just bought it. And he said, he bought it because he solved the problem in his mind that you're solving a problem. And he said, businesses buy solutions to problems. So they're either going to buy a solution to a problem. When you hear about solution selling and those kind of things, the solution solves a problem. And so they're either buying a solution to a problem or they're buying a system to a problem. And the reason I delineate that is I think in the internet marketing world and some of the entrepreneur spaces and coaching spaces, you can actually sell people your philosophy. Like, you can sell them an idea, but businesses don't have like a way to ROI to the board your philosophy, right?
I love
Like
that. Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
yeah, it's so like unless you're Tony Robbins or you have some massive established brand that your philosophy rocks the world, they can't pay for that. But if you change it into a system, now they'll buy it. And so when I saw that, it just changed my entire selling perspective. And it changed how I position things online and everything. I learned this from being a Jim Rohn student. Jim Rohn was the guy who mentored Tony Robbins. But Jim Rohn used to say that, selling is about heaven and hell. And he would say that hell is where your customers live. I was like, what? And he's like, if you don't realize your customers are in hell, then you don't really believe in your product. And I was like, that is a great point. So it's like, you got to realize what is hell like for your customer without you, without your product? What do they feel? What do they sense? Right. And then you need to show them heaven. You need to say, hey, heaven is this, right? Like lower cost per lead, more leads, more streamlined lead, automation, all those same value propositions that an internet marketer would use, right? So that's heaven. And then the system is the 12 steps or 3 steps to get you into heaven. And when I thought about that, I was like, and I'm telling you, I've used that for almost 15 years when we're preparing how to present something. It's funny, I've worked for small startups, 6 employees at TeleNav before we got big and IPO the company. So small little teeny companies all the way to AT&T. And it's funny how when we get these big marketing MBA managers and all these people telling us how to sell, and I look at all their stuff and I go, no. I go, we're not going to present it this way, guys. I go, we're going to talk about heaven and hell and how to get to heaven. That's it. And so, obviously we don't come in there and say, hey, I think you're in hell, right? Like we don't physically say that, but that's the psychology when you're trying to sell a solution or whatever you do to a business is that, they're in a serious state of need. And so you don't want to go in there and, like you want to hit on your results. It's huge, right? But your results you have to understand your results is like the utopia. It's the heaven. So if they don't understand the contrast, it's going to be really hard for you to sell your value.
Oh, I love that. I'm just taking some notes here as you're talking about it. I think that's amazing. Honestly, it's so funny because I hear people talk about, competitors and competition all this time. And we were joking in the office the other day. Nothing excites me more than a good fight. As far as I love having competitors out there, but at the same time, I don't really see other companies as quote unquote competitors because I live in that world you just described as far as heaven and hell. I truly believe that without ClickFunnels and what we do, that they literally anybody I talk to, any entrepreneur, any small business owner is truly living in a life of hell and. Here is our ticket out for them. And I think that is such an amazing analogy. I love that. So thanks to Jim Rohn. And most importantly, thank you for sharing that again. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And I remember, I teach this to a dozen sales reps and I'd sit along and we'd walk them through their system or entrepreneurs were teaching this too. And I'd, coach them through and I'd go, make sure at the end, it's so clear. What are the 4 steps to heaven to whatever your utopia is, right? Like, they have to see that clearly and that system is what they buy. Oh,
that's awesome. That is so cool. Again, I think that's why, as you mentioned earlier, as far as the importance of really believing in what you do, if you don't believe that you really can take your clients from hell to heaven, it's really hard to sell that. Yeah.
I was with an entrepreneur after the Funnel Hacking Live event here in Dallas, and this gentleman had a really good system of getting in with executives, and he thought he could, sell kind of his ideas. And I kind of met with him, and I just said, I don't think me and you are a perfect fit. And then at the end, he closed this folder, and I said, "What's that? What's in the folder?" And he said, "Oh, it's just my notes." And I said, "Well, it looked like you had more than notes there." I said, because I saw like a bio view, and what is that? And you didn't give me any of that. What is it? And he brought it to a one-on-one meeting. I was like, I just asked him, and he said, "Oh, this is my system." And I said, "Show me that." So he shows me that, and he's got a bio of me printed out, a bio of him printed out, a talk track of he had like a 6-page system. And I said, "Sit down. Let's talk about this again." I said, "What you just showed me right there, we can sell, because I guarantee you businesses want their people to know about that, right? Like all the philosophies and stuff, it's hard to ROI that, right? And businesses and people have been burned by that. But if you present it as the system or the manual or the playbook or those kind of things, now you have a real shot, a very good shot."
I totally love that. In fact, I also love the word playbook. I think a lot of business owners understand the importance of a playbook. I know you were a college football player, and it's funny. A lot of the CEOs, a lot of the top high-end people I've dealt with in consulting, and everything else, I'm always amazed at how many of them have been athletes that have some sort of. It's just, and I joke around about this all the time with my kids, and I'm a huge believer in sports and the importance of it. I just think you learn so much. But part of that is it's the competition, but it's also the playbook. And I know that you've got your own secret playbook as far as how to go from 5 to 6 figures, B2B sales. Help people understand what that playbook is and obviously how they get it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what I've done is I put out kind of the key pieces of my playbook, which is what's my best funnel to get people in, what's my best presentation. So I give away a template that has 70 slides. A number of years ago, we paid a marketing company $7,000 to build this 70 slide presentation. Now you don't need 70, but you use the template, and based on your presentation, you just pick the 2 or 3 slides you want to use based on the graphical layout. And it just makes you look like a total rock star. Like these companies are like, "Who made the PowerPoint?" They always say that. They're like, "Beautiful slide." I mean, it gives you instant credibility. So I'm giving that away as well. So I'm giving away the best funnel for free. It's the whole script of how it works. The best PowerPoint template we've ever used. And I'm also giving away the script of how do you present a 5 to 6 figure price tag. So how do you go about pitching the price? How do you do the price drop? How do you anchor off of certain value propositions, those kind of things. So all those things are we just kind of put together. It's kind of the meat and potatoes of the playbook that we use, and it's at jamessmiley.org. If people want to go download it for free, they can get it there. I actually I had somebody recently because I was on Steven's podcast, and I had a couple people ask me. They said, "What's a playbook?" And I said, "Have you ever played sports?" And so they, anybody who's ever played any kind of sport knows, like, you might have 100 plays, right? If you're in junior high, you go to high school, there's thousands, and you go to college, there's maybe hundreds of thousands of plays in combinations. But if you're like in a 3rd down on the 2-yard line on the right hash, you don't need to know all the plays. You only need to know like 3 plays. There's only 3 plays you run in that situation, right? And so that's what a playbook does, is it lets you know by scenario, what do I pitch a customer, or what do I do in a certain scenario, right? So it helps kind of simplify, and helps you simplify what you should pitch, what you shouldn't pitch, where you should go with the conversation, where you shouldn't, that kind of thing. So that's what like a playbook in business would be.
I love that. Again, James, I totally appreciate the analogy. And I think anybody who's listening to this, if you don't have a playbook, first of all, you have to create one.
Yeah.
And the other thing I'd highly recommend is go ahead and check out James. He's giving it away for you guys basically for free. You just go to jamessmiley.org. And on the very top there, you can see the free B2B Funnel Secrets Playbook, my secret playbook to 5 to 6 figure B2B sales. It's the exact playbook he used to getting hired by 48 of the Fortune 500, scale sales of up to $350 million from Silicon Valley SaaS company, IPO, and train over 7,000 6-figure B2B sales reps. So guys, if nothing else, I highly recommend you just go to jamessmiley.org. Check out his funnel, because as soon as you click on download the playbook now, the next thing you're going to run into is a really cool form basically that he's using to go ahead and capture exactly what he just talked about, where a prospective client's paying him $5,000 to go out to basically pitch him. So I hope I don't I'm not giving away your secrets here as far as, as your funnel, but I think it's so awesome, James. It's just, it's so cool for me to see people who are actually implementing things that truly work and aren't just talking about philosophy. And you've mentioned that so many times as you've approached real business owners, is the importance. You can't sell philosophy. You can sell systems and you can sell playbooks. And I just think that's so important. I hope people, you guys are listening, you're really taking notes and getting that down.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe the last word is you know, I will tell you from my background, corporate experience in the big companies I work for, I really have attached to the ecosystem that you guys have provided out there of free info, products, services, and all those things. And just so people know, like, I personally invested over $10,000 in your guys' stuff for the last few years. Like, and it's totally changed my business, you know? And so I think, like, if somebody is consuming inside your ecosystem of products, services, free stuff, all that, and they feel like they're not getting it or they're not having success, I think, you know, one analogy that Todd Brown used was, you just have to kind of like lift your eyes up and see that there are blue oceans out there. There's oceans where the fish are at and there's no sharks killing them all, right? And that pressure you feel is not you. It's not your failing. It's not your product sucks. It's you're just in an area where you're having difficulty being different, and you know, supply and demand, right? Like if the supply is so high, if there's so many people that do what you do, it's going to be hard to charge what you want and charge what you're worth. And so I really think you guys are on just the cusp of understanding all the industries that what your platform can do and how it can affect people. And so that's what I just encourage people that are out there. I know there may be people who aren't fully where they want to be. They just need to swim to the blue oceans.
I love it. I love that. And again, appreciate the kind words. Well, James, as we get close to wrapping things up, anything else you want to make sure people know about?
You know, that's probably the nutshell. I mean, I've made a big commitment. You know, before I went into all this, I tend to, you know, I'm all in or all out, completely all in or completely all out. And so I made a big change this year, and I said, you know, what is my deepest passion? Is it continuing to help build big businesses? And, you know, I really focus on like the $10 to $100 million business right now, but like, is that my passion? I think more because of my roots. My passion is to help people who are trying to get there, who are trying to get established and build those foundations. So that's why we started this B2B Funnel Secrets thing. And it's been so cool to just work with people, help them, talk to them, message them, and encourage them, right? So I'm excited. I make myself accessible. It's a part of my brand and who I am. I make myself accessible to people. So if I can help you on your journey, you know, I'm here to help you.
James, I appreciate that. And again, you've been so kind and giving to us. I really do appreciate it. It's been fun just comparing notes between the podcast I know you did with Steven and your kind words here today as well. So again, wish you all the continued success and everything that you're doing, and appreciate you just taking time with us today. So thanks so much.
Appreciate it, Dave.
Thanks for listening to Funnel Hacker Radio Podcast. If you'd like to be notified anytime we release a new episode, just subscribe over at funnelhackerradio.com. In addition to that, we'd love to send you a free gift. You can find that free gift at funnelhackerradio.com/free trial. One last thing is we love giving away cars. So if you'd like access to a free dream car, all you have to do is go to funnelhackerradio.com/dream car and you'll get all the details. Thanks again for listening.